When you're a parent, the hardest part about working out isn't the effort, it's deciding what to do when time is limited. Here's how I program workouts that work even when life gets in the way. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Tyler. I'm a personal trainer, father of two, and home gym owner. Today, I want to talk to you about programming your workouts as a parent. Now, in a lot of my other videos, I talked about the equipment that I use and how I stay consistent. But this video is about getting in the weeds of how to structure and program your workouts so that you can stay consistent as a busy parent. So the first point I want to talk about is how to approach warm-ups. Now, as a parent, we don't really have a lot of time on our hands, but it's important to still warm up before our exercise. Just like a car out in the cold, things can start to break down when our body is cold. So if we just do a little bit of a warm-up, it can save us a lot of pain, frustration, and injury. So one quick way to approach warming up is very simple. You just do 5 to 10 minutes of light cardio and get your blood pumping, get your body temperature warm, and you'll be good to go. You can do that with a treadmill, you can do it with a bike, rower, skier, you can do it with jump rope, jumping jacks. You can do any of those modalities to get yourself warm. Another way you could warm up is by doing dynamic movements. Dynamic movements are nice because they work some of the same movement patterns that you'll be working during your resistance training. Examples, you could do lunges, box squats, different types of leg swinging, all ways that you can get yourself warmed up without doing traditional cardio. Another way you could approach it is by doing something that's helpful for your recovery. So you could do something like foam rolling, you could do prehab exercises, you could do certain types of stretching just to open up really tight muscles. A lot of times as parents, we're working out in the morning, so sometimes getting some extra stretching and loosening up before working out is beneficial. And the last thing I'll mention about warming up is doing warm-up sets for your exercises. I would definitely recommend, if you're doing higher weight sets, to do some warm-up sets leading into the heavier sets. The key takeaway on the warm-up is that the warm-up should make your workout feel better, not eat up half of your time. Now, the next point I have related to programming is activation exercises. Now, this point is optional, but I would recommend it if you're coming off of injury or if you're struggling to connect with certain body parts. An example would be if you have a weak connection with your glutes. If you did some kind of hip thrust or glute pull through before doing your squat or your deadlift, you could get a lot more activation and recruitment from the glutes when you're doing those exercises. Another thing I like to do is doing something like a leg curl before doing my squat movements, and that also will help me recruit more of my glutes when I'm doing my squats. And you can do this with a lot of different exercises. The point of these exercises is not to fatigue, but it's to wake up those sleepy muscle groups or those muscle groups that you're struggling to activate. So now that we've warmed up and we've done our activation exercises, now it's time to do the core of our workout, the resistance training. Now, when I approach resistance training as a parent, there are a couple things that I think about. One is, what's the biggest bang for my buck? So what I like to do is front load compound lifts before I do my accessory lifts in a workout. That means that even if my workout gets cut short, the exercises that I would be skipping would be things like bicep curls or tricep extensions, but not the big lifts like squats, deadlifts, bench press, which will give me much more of a muscle building signal and much more growth. Another thing that I think about with my resistance training, in addition to prioritizing compound lifts, is also to address frequency. And basically what this means is how often you hit a certain muscle group. So when I approach my week of working out, I like to hit everything in a given week at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times. So the key takeaways here on resistance training are prioritize compound lifts and prioritize frequency. So now when we're thinking about programming, we're thinking about our workout splits. Now, a lot of people are pretty passionate about the workout splits. They really like doing a push-pull legs routine. They really like doing a 5-day bro split. They really like doing a upper-lower split or full body split. All of these approaches are valid if they're done right. For me, though, I like to do splits that focus on that frequency again. So the type of splits that work well for me, I've noticed, have been an upper-lower split, a push-pull leg split, and a full body split. So for this example that I'm going to show you, I'm going to use my favorite split, and that's doing a full body split. So for me, the hardest part about doing a full body split is just keeping track of what you're doing. So I'm going to give you a quick formula to figure out how you want to approach your full body split. When I'm thinking about doing a full body split, here are the things that I think about. I think about doing my legs, I think about doing my upper body, and then at the end, I think about doing some accessories for arms, shoulders, calves to finish me out. So if you want a formula that works, here's what I would do. First, start with an isolation exercise for legs. It can be either a leg extension or a leg curl, something like that, that only works one side of the leg and doesn't fatigue your body, and it's enough to warm up your legs. Then, after you do that isolation leg exercise, I would move on to doing a compound leg exercise. So for that compound leg exercise, it could be a deadlift or a Romanian deadlift, something along those lines. Or if you want to work the quads, you want to do something like a squat variation or leg press. So I would do those exercises as my first two exercises, get the lower body done, and then move on to the upper body. So for upper body, I would do a compound pull exercise and a compound push exercise. So for your pulling exercises, it would be a horizontal or a vertical pull. And for those, I would think of doing, when you're thinking horizontal, doing any kind of row, a bent over row, a chest supported row, a seated cable row, something along those lines. And then for a vertical pull, you would do some kind of pull up or lat pull down. Then after your pulling exercise, I would move on to a pushing exercise. And the pushing exercises could be either a compound lift for pressing and primarily working the chest, or it could be an overhead press, which primarily works your front delts. So you could alternate those back and forth and do some kind of bench press, and then on the following day, you could do some kind of overhead press. At this point in the resistance training, you've now worked your lower body and your upper body. Now all you need to do is just fill in with some accessories that you want to touch after. You can do biceps, triceps, you could do the side or rear delt of your shoulders, you could do calves, you could do core. All of those things are great to throw in as extra accessory work. I would do 3, maybe 4 accessory exercises and finish out your workout, and that will get you in the 45-minute to an hour workout. Doing it this way is a great approach because you're hitting 3, sometimes 4 compound lifts every single day. You're hitting frequency, so if you work out 2, 3, 4 times a week, you get that added frequency bonus, and you're not missing out on any of your muscle groups. If I've lost you so far, there's another way you can approach full body workouts as well. You can do a full body workout with all pulling exercises and then alternate that with a full body workout that's all pushing exercises. The pulling workout, you will do everything that's pulling, which is primarily doing biceps and back, and then you could throw in some abs there. And then for your pushing day, you could do your triceps, shoulders, chest, quads, and calves in there too. If you alternate these days back and forth, it's kind of an easier approach to doing full body workouts, and you're still getting the whole body each workout, and you're good to go. Now the reason I'm harping on full body workouts so much is because for me as a parent, I'm not penalized if I miss workouts. So if I only do 2 workouts a week, that's great. I hit everything twice and I can move on and next week hopefully get some more in. And the way I structure it, it's great because I hit my compound exercises first and then I do my accessory exercises after. So if my workout's cut short, I still get those compound exercises in every day. It's a really nice approach if you can keep track and if it's not too mentally taxing for you. So here I've written out 2 different workouts that you could do that follow this approach. For workout number 1, I'm doing my isolation leg workout to start, and I'm doing a leg curl. Then I'm following that up with a compound leg exercise for the other side of the leg, which is a squat. Then I'm doing a compound pulling exercise, which can be a row, any type of row variation. And then I'm doing a compound press exercise, which is an overhead press. And then to finish out the workout, I have 3 accessory exercises. I have a bicep curl, a tricep extension, and calf raises. That would be your day A, and that would hit your entire body. Then on day B, we're doing very similar approach. We're starting with our isolation leg exercise, which this time is a leg extension. Then we're doing a compound leg exercise, which is a deadlift. And then after that, we're doing our compound pulling exercise, which is now a vertical pull, which is our pull up or pull down. Then we're doing our compound press, which this time is a bench press variation. Then for our accessories, we're doing shrugs for traps, lateral raises, and some abdominals to finish us out. The moral of the story here is that good programming shouldn't fall apart when your life gets busy. It should be able to adapt and change so that you can keep going and keep staying consistent. If you guys like content like this, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I'll see you in the next one.